and no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. Loading up the T-9s to the brim with grain. For the milk, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the milk, now everybody sing the hut and trucker song. For the milk. Flossie always seems to crash into the sun. Swivel likes the pilot on the Xbox One. Alvin at the front, you know he leads us well. Trucking across the galaxy, now everybody yell. For the milk, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the milk, now everybody sing the hut and trucker song. For the milk, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the milk, now everybody sing the hut and trucker song. Today, super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. So shout it out loud like you don't even care. For the milk, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the milk, now everybody sing the hut and trucker song. For the milk, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the milk. Hut and trucker song.
Hello Commanders, this is Station Commander Alan Stroud. The next track is Evasion 2.0. This is the sequel to the original track Evasion from the Elite Lave Revolution album and features on the new Aphelion album, which is also official Elite Dangerous audio drama music. Fly safe, take care, and enjoy the show.
needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. Loading up the T-9s to the brim with rails. For the mud, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mud, now everybody sing the Hut and Trucker song. For the mud. Flossie always seems to crash into the sun. Swivel likes the pilot on the Xbox One. Alvin at the front, you know he leads us well. Trucking across the galaxy, now everybody yell. For the mud, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mud, now everybody sing the Hut and Trucker song. For the mud, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mud, now everybody sing the Hut and Trucker song. Today, super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. So shout it out loud like you don't even care. For the mud, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mud, now everybody sing the Hut and Trucker song. For the mud, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mud, now everybody sing the Hut and Trucker song.
Galnet News Digest, 26th of October 3307. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news, the ghost ship 1 year on.
Alliance meets with Marlinists over refugee crisis.
Dilemma for Nova Duval.
By Apex to Colonia. The ghost ship 1 year on. A year ago, on the 29th of October 3306, a ghost ship was intercepted by the Alliance Salvage Guild near Planet 5b in the Chukchan system. This was the 200-year-old megaship Adamastor. Since then, we've discovered a fair bit about Azimuth Biochemicals, the original owners of the ship. The Adamastor was part of a small fleet of megaships that were searching for alien technology to use to create weapons more powerful than anything previously known. The search, as far as we know at present, was not successful, though Azimuth came very close on a number of occasions. They tried to salvage something from a planet in Muscadark region PJ-P B6-1 that may have been of Thargoid origin. But not only was the Adamastor taken over by mercenaries working for the rival company Pharma Sapien, the crew was subsequently driven mad by whatever their cargo was. The Adamastor returned home on autopilot and at sublight speed. There were no known survivors. A small crew of scientists managed to escape from the Adamastor's sister ship, the Hesperus, in an anaconda named Proteus, when it too was captured by mercenaries. they found what they were looking for, the only example of a Thargoid Guardian battlefield containing technology suitable to be turned into weaponry. They managed to create such a weapon using a Guardian crystal, but it misfired, killing all members of the crew. Their discovery of this new weapon was lost, until a mysterious figure by the name of Salvation started taking an interest in April this year. Having discovered the site, and having made a successful appeal for Guardian technology similar to that used in the weapon, he appears to have constructed some sort of Thargoid-killing superweapon, and to have tested it out after he correctly predicted that Thargoids would invade the Cornsar system 2 days before they did. It's hard to avoid the conclusion that Salvation has completed the work of Azimuth. We must hope that he's not a member of Azimuth's staff, and that his intentions are more noble than those of Azimuth.
And we have recent evidence that Azimuth has remained active until comparatively recently. Following the unlocking in August of Hyford's cache in Colonia, it's been discovered that Azimuth scientists were attempting to create a human Thargoid hybrid, making a human mind-controller Thargoid scout ship, as little as 4 years ago. Azimuth was also complicit in covering up the return of Thargoids to the Pleiades, along with a covert military operation known as Black Flight. The attempt was unsuccessful, but if Azimuth was active in 3303, it probably still is active now. Slightly worryingly, the religious fringe group known as the Far God Cult has recently headed off into Thargoid space, in the California Nebula and the Witcher Nebula, intending variously to become sacrifices to the Far God, which is in reality the Thargoids, or to become one with the Thargoids as angels. Something that sounds horribly similar to Azimuth's attempts to have humans become incorporated as part of captured Thargoid ships.
Alliance meets with Marlinists over refugee crisis. More than 1 million refugees from the Empire are still living in Alliance space since they escaped there in December 3306. Now, the Marlinist consulate hopes to rescue these refugees. The estimated 1 million refugees were not included in the Sirius-sponsored resettlement program for Marlinist refugees who escaped imperial oppression by fleeing to federal border systems. The refugees are not universally welcomed within Alliance space, with some considering them more illegal immigrants than victims of a tyrannical political system. A minority of Alliance systems have, however, granted citizenship to their refugees. Recently, the Alliance has reportedly been coming under imperial pressure to return the refugees to the Empire for interrogation and re-education, and it is as a result of this pressure that Marlinist consul Kyo Tao approached Alliance Ambassador Elijah Beck to see if transportation could be arranged for Marlinists and other imperial political refugees to the democratic Marlinist colonies in the Hyades sector. The Imperial Diplomatic Corps refused Beck's invitation to be part of the discussion. Nonetheless, discussions are believed to be at an advanced stage.
In other news this week, the Imperial Senate has offered to protect Imperator Hadrian Duval from neo-Marlinist terrorists, but only if he renounces his faction Nova Imperium. This is likely to be a tough call for Hadrian, whose partner, Lady Astrid, is expecting their first child in December. There have been 2 recent attempts on his life, but Nova Imperium largely defines who he is. He is Nova first, Duval second.
Federal agents claim to have crushed a Jupiter Division-inspired uprising by the so-called Jupiter's Wrath, with at least 1,000 armed pro-corporation extremists and their leaders arrested.
And Zemina Torval's appeal for equipment to kickstart Torval mining has been well supported. Long-range, fully engineered mining lasers have been offered as rewards and will also be available to buy from technology brokers aboard Torval mining megaships in the coming weeks. A 40% discount on all mining equipment will also be offered by Torval.
By Apex to Colonia. With the Colonia Bridge project due to deploy 35 megaships by the end of the week, some enterprising commanders are attempting to calculate whether they will be able to use Apex shuttles to travel all the way to Colonia without the need for a fleet carrier or a ship. As the megaships will have social areas, the idea is that commanders might be able to take an Apex shuttle the roughly 250 light-year distance to a planet midway between adjacent carriers in the chain, and then call an Apex shuttle from the next megaship to collect them. Repeating this process 35 times might just possibly get an on-foot commander all the way from the bubble to Colonia. Whether it's actually possible remains to be seen, but if it is, the Buckyball Racing Club will no doubt make it into a race. They always do.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news, so you don't have to.
the stars in the sky, humanity expands and thrives as it pushes back the boundaries of the universe. From the luxury of the core systems to the harsh worlds of the frontier, men still fight. Some fight for survival or greed. Some fight for a flag and others for retribution. But across the lonely darkness, they all share one aim: to be elite.
Escape Velocity, an elite dangerous audio adventure serial written and produced by Christopher Jarvis. Series 2, Episode 2, Little Girl Lost.
What's this?
Terminal Information Panel. Please enter inquiry.
I need a data terminal or a records office.
The Data Exchange in East City has public terminals for the Galactic Data Net.
Can you show me?
Please follow the signs to East City, Level 1, where you can access ground transportation.
Then I'll get my own answers.
Welcome to Horse Pilot. How can I help today?
I'm looking for somebody. I need docking clearance.
Our security systems are just checking your ship records. And I'm afraid I'm getting a red flag.
Why not check my current employer's name?
Well, I don't see how that should... Oh, I see. Clearance granted, Commander. Please head to Bay 2.
That wasn't so hard now, was it?
May I ask what brings you to Duval Terminal?
Somewhere on your station is a little lost girl. I'm here to find her.
Lave Radio Network News, bringing you the latest from the core to the frontier.
Concerns tonight as eyewitnesses share reports of alien sightings on the rim. Residents of local systems say that orb-like craft have been passing near Tannhauser. Authorities say that Thargoid sightings are unsubstantiated and no cause for alarm. News from further afield now, as the Colmac-Reeve Corporation play down fears of an epidemic of disappearances in frontier systems.
This is big country out here. There are always people going missing. What we've got is a group of disgruntled miners trying to stir trouble. Pay it no heed.
Experts say there is no indication of a statistical increase in net disappearances. Sports now, as floating sub-half Triton Angel Monroe brings victory for the Reed Quat Stranglers with a fourth successful G-ball point in many games.
I can't see May anywhere.
She'll come back, or she won't. Either way, I don't see what we can do.
You'd let her go, just like that?
It's like you say, we might be safer if we move separately. She's got issues to work through.
Come on. I've known a lot of people with troubles, but May is just a world away from that. She got the date wrong by nearly 50 years. What, did she just miss the last half-century or something?
Those robots you were shipping at a cryo facility. Was she in one of those?
What? No. Did they?
Yep. As well as being impervious to scans, they contained a full life support system for freezing an occupant.
What would be the point in that?
I don't know. Maybe it's the future of passenger transportation. Stick him in a freezing mech suit and load him into storage racks.
No one would travel like that, surely. Speaking of which, I'd better order that passenger cabin.
I'd be grateful.
Cryosleep. You think it's that simple?
When is anything? Maybe she'd be better off on her own. Have you thought of that? Well, she won you over pretty quickly, didn't she?
What does that mean?
Got you to carry her halfway across the galaxy. She gets what she wants from people, even if she doesn't know she's doing it.
That isn't called for. I looked out for her because I didn't want a faceless corporation to treat her like property and control her future. The same reason, I might remind you, I'm transporting your tin hide around.
And with that, he turned and walked away with his dignity.
Where are you going?
As I said, safer on our own. I'm going to a bar. I'll see if I can shift those guns while I'm there.
Drinking and arms sales, what could go wrong? Oh, May. I hope you're okay.
Are you okay, little girl? Are you looking for something? Work, perhaps?
I've never been in a space station like this before. A hollow cube lined with cities. There are so many streets.
Ah, yes. Coriolis Station is like a planet. The slums grow with the people. Look out!
It's eerie with the other cities just hanging there.
I find it comforting. No matter how bad it gets, I can look up at the other 3 cities and imagine that somewhere in that mess, someone is worse off than me. You laugh like someone who hasn't for a while.
That's very true. I'm looking for someone. Actually, I'm looking for the data exchange.
Then, for once, I can satisfy your needs free of charge. And that's rare in any of the 4 cities. It's right through the alley, there.
Oh, thank you.
Be careful.
Greetings, madam. Can I be of assistance?
I'd like to access some historical records.
Text screen, audio guide, or Dreamware interface.
Dreamware? What's that?
Dallas, please respond.
I'm here.
What is your ETA?
I've just requested docking clearance. Where are you?
I've been here for hours. Commander Thane has landed, with the girl.
That was quick work.
Your people hired me for my efficiency, Dallas. That is why you are working for me. I've acquired a sniper rifle that will be more than adequate for the task. I would have completed the mission by the time you got here if I didn't require your help. Risha out.
Barkeep set me up with another one.
Certainly, sir.
I mean, really. I had the most perfect setup. Place of my own, away from people, my own business, and then bang! Feds blow in and take it all away.
I understand, sir.
You're programmed to be a good listener, you know that.
There, sir.
Now, I want you to listen to this. I was given this card in the market by a mutual friend. I want to talk to Toristat.
I'm sorry, sir. There's no one here by that name.
Yes, there is. And he's watching me right now, isn't he? Through that camera in your skull. Or is your shining personality enough to manage the drugs, Tim, now?
Psst. You have a card.
Right here.
Come through then. You don't look like a buyer, friend.
I'm not. Usually I'm a seller, but today I need information.
Why do you think I can help you?
Because you're like me, a tech bootlegger.
That's a vicious slander.
Isn't it always?
What's the payment?
What do you think of this blueprint?
Oh, that's beautiful.
I thought a man of your nature would like it. You can have this design and make these all the livelong day in exchange for a little bit of forbidden knowledge.
What is it you want to know?
What can you tell me about Dreamware trauma?
What's Dreamware?
Interactive total immersion experience. See, hear, and feel the records in which you have an interest.
I'll try that, I guess. Does it cost a lot? I don't have much.
Take this chip over to a terminal. It's free for 10 minutes. Then you must pay. If you buy a drink, it's free as long as you're ordering.
Okay. Now what?
Please take this headset and place it carefully, but firmly, upon your head.
And what? So I just...
I'm a Dreamware data attendant. I am here to help you. Please provide search criteria.
I'm looking for Senator Tobias Havelock.
470 results found.
Can you give me a summary?
Tobias Victor Havelock. Born 3140. Died 3216. Served in the Imperial Senate from 3185 until his death. He made major contributions to the Slavery Health Guarantee Bill, Imperial Mining Jurisdiction Charter, Trooper Enhancement Program.
Stop. Trooper Enhancement Program. That was on his memorial. What is it?
The Imperial Trooper Enhancement Program is a Senate-approved genetic manipulation regime. Seen here, soldiers are adapted for improved agility, hand-to-eye coordination, physical strength, and mental acuity. The program has been lauded as a success throughout the Empire, marred only by controversy in 3216, with the death of the program director, Senator Havelock.
Computer, Senator Havelock, controversy and death. Can you tell me more?
Records are protected by net security.
Oh. Help. Ow. Computer, override security. Code word, Echidna.
Access granted.
How did I know that?
There are multiple results.
Multiple results?
There are Imperial and Federal sources for this subject.
Give me federal coverage first.
Accessing dream sequence for Federal meeting. 3215.5.8.
Come in, Senator. Please, take a seat.
Thank you, General.
It's my father.
Dreamware trauma. That's a bad business, my friend. One of your customers?
Thankfully not, but I have a friend who is exhibiting worrying behaviour, and I'd like to know if they have a bad dream sequence.
Well, it's more common with bootleg terminals, although even Signian Dreams have seen cases. They hush it up, of course. All I can tell you is that the subject will suffer hallucinations, memory loss, struggle to tell fantasy from fiction.
Memory loss? Might they not know the current date?
It's certainly possible. If the entertainment they were watching was set in a certain period, an episode of Dreamware trauma might leave them believing it's the date of the story. Assuming we're talking about an entertainment sequence here, not an educational use.
Educational use?
Yeah, sure. Schools use them, military uses them. They have modified Dreamware units which speed up the education process. Hell, even Signian Dreams do custom units. They're pretty careful though. Rich parents tend to be unhappy when their kids come home with DT.
May said she never finished her school. Could an episode of Dreamware trauma be triggered if the subject didn't complete the sequence?
Well, sure. Especially if the connection was terminated without shutting down. That's really damaging. But hey, the good news is your friend might get better if they can go back and see it to the end.
After seeing what Big Sister did with their education, I think May's better off dropping out.
Perhaps. Going back in is risky either way.
Risky? Why?
If you suffered a dreamware trauma, especially if you have the more serious symptoms like hallucinations and schizophrenia, going back into any dream sequence is risky. You take the delusion in with you. Sometimes you broadcast the nightmares into the dream sequence itself. It can get real trippy. So I've heard.
If someone on this station wanted to find someone's records, where would they go?
A data exchange, of course.
And does the data exchange use Dreamware terminals?
Of course, they all do.
Space, I've got to go.
Hey, my blueprint!
Keep it.
My father. Can he see me?
Negative. This is a pre-recorded dream sequence. The persons herein are not programmed for interaction.
We're pleased with your results, Senator. We've seen a measurable increase in the performance of federal troops.
Thank you. I'm pleased with my work on this. It is the sum of my life's achievements. Understanding human physiology, mentality, the very spark of life itself. Nothing could be more important.
Obviously, we're very pleased with the military applications here.
My father was working with the Federation.
I am sensing a but, General. Something on your mind?
We had a complaint from one of the lab techs. I can't even credit some of the things he said you were doing. Unauthorized tests, brainwashing, experiments on your own family.
Progress comes at a price, General. You know that.
The federal government cannot countenance this barbaric behavior. I will have to report this.
Barbaric behavior. You are not reporting anything, General. You came to me to buy troops for illegal operations into Imperial territory. It's a little late to be claiming the moral high ground.
Listen here, you freak. I'm trying to level the playing field here. The Empire has modified soldiers. We have to match them.
an aim which the Federation expressly forbids. Who will suffer more from your report, General? A senator and geneticist on the Imperial payroll, or a high-ranking military officer working without official sanction?
Why, you little...
Yes, General. What will you do?
I suppose the Federation can do nothing.
No, it can't.
This isn't over, Havelock. You mark my words.
End of recording.
You said there was an Imperial recording too. Can I see that one?
Accessing dream sequence for Imperial meeting. 3215.6.13.
This is utterly outrageous. I refute these allegations completely.
Of course you do. I would expect nothing less.
How can you trust information that comes from the Federation? They're lying.
For what purpose?
To discredit me. My work has made our troops strong.
Work which you are planning to share with the Federation by all accounts. And at the cost of your own family, no less. Damning, very damning.
How can you believe them?
Whether I believe them or not, the scandal has spread, dear boy. Your Federation paymasters have burnt your bridge for you. I can't save your position now.
But I'm so close.
The thing is, dear fellow, it's not the treachery or the dirty experiments that concern the Emperor.
It isn't?
It's the end game that disturbs him. We know what you've really been up to, Havelock, old boy, and that won't do. Won't do at all.
Won't do. I'm giving the people of this empire an unprecedented gift.
A gift which our society cannot support. The Empire is a carefully and deliberately planned creation. What you intend would shift all of that out of balance. Break the delicate equilibrium.
Equilibrium? I'm talking about human lives.
I know, and I'm talking about civilization. What you want to do just isn't in the Empire's best interests. You're through, Havelock. Nothing can save you now.
No! I won't be beaten. Hello, May.
What? You can see me? I thought this recording was one way only. You shouldn't be able to see me.
You've just plugged your head into a dream reader, May. In this place, your own thoughts and dreams mingle with reality. At last we can talk outside of your nightmares. If you'd finished your lessons, you'd be able to talk to me like this whenever you wished. You must have questions.
Are these recordings true? Did you do all of these things?
I made a lot of mistakes, May. Mistakes I came to repent. I need you now to undo the damage I did.
But, Daddy, what happened to the last 50 years? How did you die? Where are you?
I can only tell you what you already know, May. What's in your head. According to these records, I was executed by the Empire. But there is much more you can find with the security access you carry.
How do I have security access? How do I know about guns and ships?
You know a great many things. You have knowledge and skills. You are being prepared for a terrible purpose, May. A purpose you must fight. If you don't, the civilized galaxy as we know it faces destruction.
But how can I...
There you are. It's time for school, May.
May, I'm not the only thing from your nightmares that can get out. Run!
What?
Run!
Come back here, May. You aren't finished with your lessons. I have a knife here, May. Perhaps we need to cut the next lesson into your skin.
Leave me alone!
Take off the headset, May.
Take it off.
Do it quickly.
Negative. Removing the headset prematurely can cause significant psychological damage.
You can't get away, May. For every drop of blood you spill, the lesson will be ingrained deeper.
Take it off!
Do not remove the headpiece. You may suffer a cerebral episode.
Come back!
No!
Come on. This is quality Imperial merchandise.
2. I will pay 2.
2? I can get 2 in the system I bought the stuff from.
That is my offer.
300, or I walk across the market to the lady who's been staring at us since we started and sell it to her.
275.
Sure. Deal.
Handprint?
Pleasure doing business with you. Got a lot of stock here.
I meet a lot of people.
What's under the sheet? Witching hell.
Ah, you like? Robots, all the way from Delta Bovonics.
I know what they are. I've seen them before. You should ditch them. They bring bad luck, friend.
Looks like bad luck is here already.
Who's that?
I'm looking for someone. This girl may have a lock. Reward available for useful information. Well, let's just say, if you've seen her, then you really don't want to keep it from me. Most of you spaces fear dying in the vacuum. Let me assure you that what I can do to you in the flesh is much, much worse. If any of you know anything, post it to the bulletin board. Then get out of my way.
What do you want, Kurlek? This isn't a good time.
I think May's in danger.
You've seen the assassin too?
Assassin?
Tall chick with a rifle, flashing May's photo all over the market.
A sniper, space.
What were you calling about?
Well, I think May's gone to a data exchange looked by her father, but there's a chance the Greenway interface could hurt her.
Either way, it sounds like we need to find her, now.
Medical team to data exchange. Medical team to data
Can you
exchange.
turn that up?
Incident involving Dreamwear headset. Possible mental trauma. Subject is human female, early teens. Please report to 31st and Tuttle immediately.
Oh, no.
That sounds like her.
I'm going after her.
That's it, Thane. Go and find your friend. Dallas, come in.
I'm here.
I've got a job for you.
Excuse me. May! Excuse me. May! Oh!
Sorry.
Hey, watch where you're walking. Excuse me, miss. Have you seen a girl?
We have lots of girls.
About so high, dark, cropped hair?
Ah, yes. The sad-faced girl. I've seen her.
Where is she?
She got into some kind of trouble in the data exchange. She ran off.
Where did she run?
Into the admin quarter. Hey, wait!
I can't stop. May! May!
Are you okay? You look lost.
I'm looking for someone.
Who?
I'm not sure. It's terribly important I find them.
Another drifter. Get off this station and go home, kid. There's no work for you here. Take it from me.
No, please. You have to help me. I have to get to...
Where?
Star. Van Marnen Star. I must get there. It's terribly important. That's where it's going to happen.
Van Marnen Star? You are lost, little girl. That's the other side of the core.
I came here to meet somebody. Somebody important.
There's nothing quite like family.
Mister, do you have a ship?
Well, sure.
Will you take me to Van Marnen Star?
What? Of course I won't.
You're chromatic, aren't you?
What?
I can tell. Your eyelids are shaking and your fingernails are red-tinged.
What's it to you?
I can get some for you. It's not hard to find in a station like this.
You can get Frallium?
If you agree to take me in your ship.
I did as you instructed. I put the tracking chip on Thane.
Did he recognise you?
I don't think so. I had to bump him to pass off the contact, but he was searching for May so intently he didn't see who I was.
I flushed him out. Is he heading for the girl now?
Yes. An eyewitness pointed him in the right direction. He'll find us soon enough.
Which city?
East.
Then I will set up. Thane will lead us straight to her. Only contact me now if something changes. I need to prepare my rifle.
Thane, where are you?
Heading into the admin quarter. Someone saw May come this way.
Well, that's good. Lots of tall buildings. If you find May and keep her to the side streets, our sniper won't get a clear shot.
Wait. There she is. May! May!
Where is she?
Standing on the corner of Cassandra and 9th, talking to a pilot.
If memory serves, it's surrounded on all sides by tall buildings. As long as your sniper isn't in one of those should be fine.
May? May!
Hello? Are you talking to me?
No time for jokes, May.
Then get down.
What? May is here.
I've been stupid, it's a trap.
What do you mean?
The Coriolis station.
I don't understand.
Cities facing on all sides. The sniper isn't near you, the sniper is above you. With a rifle like that, she can fire from one face to another. You've been flushed into a clearing.
May? May, get down! Please, May, get into cover!
Can you find my sister? I need to get to Van Marnen's staff.
May! May, no!
Get out of there. Hey, get out!
Oh, space, no. No, no, no. May! What have they done?
Excellent. Dallas, come in.
I'm here.
The girl is dead. Do you want me to kill the pilot too?
Leave him for now. We might need him.
There's a crowd gathering around the body. I can hear security drones. Ballistics will give away my position soon. I need to move.
There's a problem.
What problem?
I've been studying the station's security footage. What I can get at least. Some of the sightings of the prototype put her in different cities at similar times. Based on the accounts, there's no way she can have travelled between these places in that time.
Wait. What are you saying, Dallas?
May. May, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I left you. I leave everybody behind.
Thane?
What? May! How?
Oh, that girl. Is she dead?
I don't understand.
She looks just like me. Thane, who is she?
I thought she was you. I was chasing after her and shot.
Who is she? How can she look like me?
I don't know. I'm sorry, mate. I don't know.
May? May,
Not now.
you know what this means.
Of course I know. I know. I understand everything now, Thane. I'm a clone.
What? How can that be?
It's right in front of you, Thane. That bullet was meant for me. But we have to move. The sniper won't stop here.
But...
Move, Thane.
In episode 2 of Escape Velocity, Christopher Jarvis played Thane, Amy Timms May, Alan Wales Kerlek, Liam McCauley Dallas, and Katie Howes Risha. Nick James was Senator Havelock, Georgia Darlison the teacher, Ken White the general, and Janet Bauer Imperial Consul, with Drew Wagar as the addict, Grant Walcott as Tollestadt, and Rebecca Keyes as the courtesan. Additional parts were played by the cast. Escape Velocity was written and produced by Christopher Jarvis, with music by Alan Stroud, and is a Radio Theatre Workshop production for laveradio.com. Elite is copyright Frontier Developments. For more information, please visit escapevelocity.laveradio.com.
Commander Kumar the Far here, and you're listening to Lave Radio. Up next is a track that I wrote based on a true story. It's called Pirates Took My Spaceship. Now, if you want to listen to more stuff that I've written, you can find that at soundcloud.com/KUMARTHEFFAR-1. Oh crap, the back!
The Lave Radio Project was our last best hope for news. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long, located in neutral territory. A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads, community members and developers. A shining beacon in space, all alone on a Tuesday night. It was the dawn of the 3rd chapter of Elite. The year's space legs came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Lavian stations. The year is 3307. The name of the place? Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 364 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix of Fire, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode are our head... No, our... you know what, can I just start that again? I had a lot of people in the background. All just yelling at me.
We'll let you start again. We know you're missing Ben, really, Colin, so that's what it was.
It's the perils of live radio. Ah, right. So, just ignore the last 30 seconds. Right, greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 364 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix of Fire, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our Chief's Liaison Officer, Commander Psychit.
Hello.
Hello. We have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
We also have as our replacement today, our inflatable trader, Commander Mac Winston.
Hello.
Hello. And also we'll have to thank Commander Ventura. Well, not have to thank, we're very grateful for Commander Ventura to be doing the tech for this evening.
Not a problem.
Yes. Right. Well, if you wish, you can... Well, is there anybody actually playing live today?
Yes. At the moment?
Yes.
Oh, no, but I don't have a feed from you, so nobody will be seeing...
Anywhere near Lave Station?
Well, if that's the case, I'm afraid you'll probably just have to join us here at the radio station, which you can join at the Twitch chat channel if you access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go straight to twitch.tv/Lave Radio, or YouTube, look up Lave Radio, or even Facebook, where we do Lave Radio. Right, we'll just have a quick chat with everybody who's on the team today and see how they're doing. So, Psychit, how have you been?
I've been good. I've been good. Doing lots of Halloween related activities. Playing, coming second in Psychic Owl's Your Abysmal Song Contest, which was fun. And then doing Halloween Dungeons and Dragons, which was also very fun.
Lovely. Commander Shan.
Oh, let me see. In game, I've been doing a bit of testing of update 8, but we'll come to that later, no doubt. Let me see. Out of game, youngest Mini Shan came home for the weekend and declared he was going to be learning Russian as part of his army training. And it's quite interesting because he showed us some examples of what they're teaching them in his Russian course. And you know how normally when you learn a language, you sort of ask, like, which is the way to the station, or can I have a beer, or what's on the menu, sort of things like that. Well, apparently the British Army teaches its soldiers to say things like hands up, surrender, drop your weapon, and down on the ground in Russian instead.
So basically, show me the way to your nuclear vessels. No?
Kind of, yeah. And for those who asked, Hobbs test subject beta failed a test this week.
Oh,
so he's gone back into re-education.
Oh, is this the Showdrinker's cat?
No, it failed the food obedience test, so it's going to have to be starved for a day or so it learns not to steal food.
Oh, I see. Stealing food. I see. Psychic, you said that there was something extra you wanted to do in game.
No, I just have been in game as well. I do play Elite Dangerous as well. I don't just come here and talk about it on various different platforms. I've also played it, but just to circle back around, just to clarify, you're not actually going to starve your cat, Shan. Just to.
Well,
awfully quiet.
It's my cat. I can do what I like to it, can't I?
Cool. Well, that was your weekly animal abuse segment. Perfect. Good to know.
No. But being serious, he's actually a bit overweight because we've been feeding it too much. Apparently, to be a healthy cat, you're supposed to just about feel the ribs when you run your hand along its side, and we can't feel its ribs. So you're supposed to feed a kitten 3 times a day, but we reckon it's not really a kitten anymore, so we're cutting out a meal.
Excellent. Okay. Commander Winston, welcome back.
Hello.
How's things with the East India Trading Company?
Oh, very good. I recently, because I haven't really done it, I decided to leave the comfort of my Imperial cutter behind and actually go out and find out what this walking around malarkey is all about. So I always like to try new things not in company time. So I go somewhere in the Federation, find a faction I don't like, and do missions for them because I know I'm going to fail the first few. So off I went. I thought, oh, this is a little bit of petty crime. Let's do some petty crime. So I took on these theft missions, and off I went to some godforsaken planet somewhere. Went down to the surface. Got off. Had a wander around the base. Anyway, I bought these e-breaches off this dodgy guy on Harvest Port to take with me, and so I sort of wandered around this thing, trying to break into. Anyway, it was crawling with guards, and this guy sort of scanned me, and then he was very friendly at first, and then suddenly he became very unfriendly. And the Benny Hill music started as I was suddenly chased by about 12 angry men with rifles who all started shooting at me.
So you were chased by 12 angry men with a weapon out.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden I was hit, and then I woke up 2 days later in jail and I had to pay 10,000 credits before they'd let me go. So that was not a triumph. So I thought, well, I'll try again. So I chose another hapless faction. This time it went better because I decided that the best way of not being seen was not to be scanned. So I sort of snuck around the base this time and broke in and got whatever the genetic sample, whatever it is I was supposed to be stealing. So off I went, and then all of a sudden a guy scanned me. I thought, now I'm in trouble now because I've got this thing I've stolen, and so I just ran for it. And again, Benny Hill music started. This time, however, I remembered my suit had shields, so I turned them on. And I managed to get back to my ship, and I flew around with all sorts of weapons shooting at me. That was a triumph. So I made a note there, huge success. And then docked at the station, promptly forgot to turn in my stolen gear and failed the mission anyway because it timed out. So anyway, But now I basically know what I do. As a bit of a relief, I decided to go into the VR suite of my Imperial Cutter and play this game called It's Not Just a Game, It's Real Life, where you play the part of a 21st century Java programmer working for a small company in the Isle of Man. And the graphics are great. And they've got the haptic thing down as well, because today I played it, and I have this contraption called a bicycle to get around on. And if you've not been on a planet with an atmosphere and weather and native life, you'll discover it has something called rain and cold. And I got soaked to the skin. So anyway, it's much better back in 3307, in real life, where it's dry and warm.
Apart from the constant cold death of space that's just outside of the screen.
Yes.
Chan.
Yes, I since we have no Ben this week, I want to suggest that we declare this show another Malarkey free zone.
I can't do 2 in a row. It's not happening.
Well, I'm afraid to say, as much as you wanted it Malarkey free, when I listened back to it, the guest, Mr. Alec Turner, was certainly full of malarkiness. So I'm afraid we failed last week, Shan. I don't know.
Well, I think we need to have another go this week.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Let's see, what have I been up to? Well, obviously, Update 8 dropped, so I've been playing a lot of that. But unfortunately, most of the weekend was taken up screwing. So, an IKEA wardrobe together. An IKEA wardrobe together. Sorry, I should have turned over my page at the right moment. Yes, I now have a massive...
You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Me? No.
Listen,
I know
last week's show was an excellent example of mature, sensible, positive discussion. Yes, it was. and without a Ben, the hope was we would keep that same level of maturity.
Okay, let's continue on. Yeah, most of the time I've been assembling furniture from IKEA. So at the moment, I have to say my wrists are very tired.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happens when you just go at it for so long.
I know.
It's that constant screwing action when you have to kind of...
Just the wrist action is just overwhelming at some times.
Oh, what the heck, Colin? Are you blind yet?
And then when you and then when you've got the glue joints, it goes all over the place. It squirts out the.
Is this the white PVA glue?
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about that. It was just purely playing with nuts. Right. So yeah. Update 8. I've also been doing a bit of Final Fantasy 15 because I've discovered this thing called Comrades, which was supposed to be its multiplayer version of it, but it works just as well as a single player, and it's actually surprisingly good. So I've been getting back into that. So I think we shall leave the other comments aside and move on to the development news. Well, there's been an awful lot happening in the last week. Obviously, Update 8 came out on Wednesday, and we've had 2, in fact, actually 3 patches really since its release. There's still a few outstanding issues which the development team are looking into. So we're now at Update 8.02 client side. So I'm just going to go around the crew and ask them some important questions of what was expected for this patch. First of all, the big one: did it boost your performance?
Yes.
Mac, yes, go on then, Mac. How much performance did you get? Because I know I got tons.
I have an old video card. I have a GTX 980 on account that any video card now, only the premium ones available for stupid prices, and I'm not prepared to pay for them. So I'm sticking with the 980 for a while. So, yeah, the trouble is on a 980, sort of planet side in a settlement, it was dropping down to 17 FPS, which is just a little bit slow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now getting 25 or 26, which is actually a vast improvement with that old hardware. Elsewhere, I mean, that's just like a busy planetary area. So it's now actually sort of become playable. I don't have everything turned down to low because I'm quite prepared to sacrifice. The way I look at it is you go to a cinema is 24 frames per second. So therefore, so long as I'm not trying to do Twitch reflex stuff, I can deal with that. So it has made a worthwhile improvement. It's made a quite big improvement in the station. So like when docking, it was getting down to around 20 FPS. It's now running about 45, which is way better, which makes FA off a lot easier, FA off landings. Although there is still a curious a bug that arrived with Odyssey. If you turn off, I have rotational correction turned off, and if you have rotational correction turned off and flight assist off, when you go to land, as you get close to the pad, everything judders like crazy. It's not a frame rate thing. It's I suspect it's a frame of reference thing, and it's the way it's calculating the rotation of the station and your position relative to it. So everything's it's like you're on a shaker platform. It's kind of odd. So anyway, that's really the only major issue left. I find in terms of flying into stations, and I can work around that just by turning on rotational correction. But yeah, it has made a worthwhile improvement. I'm hoping there'll still be more to come. It's just unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that Odyssey dropped when we're in a massive drought for reasonably priced graphics cards, to be honest.
That is one of the things that is one of the ongoing issues with it. Shan, what did you think about the FPS improvements? Or did you even get any?
I didn't get any change. I haven't had an issue with FPS on my particular system. Although as a general comment from what I was seeing, so am I right in thinking they're still aiming for 30 FPS as an average?
The 30 FPS is supposed to be the base level for the minimum spec. So if you've got more than 30 FPS, well, actually on your card, the FPS should be quite fast, shouldn't it? It should be quite high.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking just in general, the 30 FPS feels a little bit like the 2 degrees at COP26, because 30 FPS for a shooting game is, in my view, not really playable. It's
Speak for yourself.
No, it should be 60. It should be 60 to be smooth and whatnot. So I'm a bit concerned about console performance, to be fair. But I mean, I think I'm going to the point that not everyone can spend the amount of money on graphics cards and PCs. So we have to look at what the average FPS is. And I would suggest, based on anecdotal reports, it's still below the 30 FPS on average. I mean, it jumps up, but then it spikes down a bit again. So there's still got a way to go, I think.
Okay. Psychic.
Initially, yes, I thought, oh yeah, this is a lot better. And I did a couple of conflict zones where I was getting around the 30 FPS mark, and it was buttery smooth, and I was like, oh my god, I can hit stuff. And this was the first day, so well, not the first day because I didn't play on Wednesday, but the first day was that I played was a Thursday, and then I got there was that bug where you had the recoil bug.
Oh, is that the one where you just shuddered everywhere?
You were shuddering everywhere, and that made me feel physically sick. And then it was like just wonderful. But progressively it started, like FPS started to get worse, and there were little sort of like niggly bits, things that it's one of those things where we always sort of expect it when we have a patch. We're like, are they going to patch the patch anytime soon? And they've patched it 2 times now.
Yeah.
But from what people that I've been speaking to and people who've been dropping by, it really hasn't been it's a graphics card thing.
Yes.
It tends to be, it doesn't really matter what your graphics card is. You can have the best rig in the world and you can be spending thousands and thousands of pounds on your computer, and you're getting the same as somebody who's playing on a decent spec laptop, for example.
Mm. Yes, I've heard about this. We've had people with 3070s, 3080s saying that they were getting horrendous frame rate issues. Yet, like Mac was saying on his old 980?
Yeah, GTX 980.
You're getting a reasonable performance. I mean, I've got the same with mine. Mine's a 1050, which it's more than enough for Horizons, but for Odyssey it's not. But the performance that I've had has been good enough to go from low to mid quality, and I'm still getting more than 30 FPS even in conflict zones, which I have no problem with that whatsoever. I mean, maybe this is because I've been the FPS I've been playing for absolutely ages. We used to play Blooming Quake at like 5 or
it's really
10 or 15 FPS that I'm used to.
It's really reminiscent of old school Counter-Strike days, for sure. But the counter argument to that is, should it really be in 2021?
Yeah, but the main issue that I've got is that they said there's going to be a significant improvement. I found there was, but am I the only one that seems to find this?
I think for me, it's really situational. There are times when I see walking around concourses, there is absolutely an improvement.
Yes,
but
definitely.
For me, there is definitely improvement walking around concourses. You can see it on the. I don't tend to have the FPS counter up very often because I find that I am like hyper fixated on it.
Yes.
So turning it off means that I don't really notice quite as often as when the frames are particularly low. However, I have noticed a marked improvement in concourses. Also, megaship concourses are awesome.
We're going to come to them in a minute.
I know. I just wanted to see right now.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, walking around the one issue that I did have was walking around a concourse on a planetary base, whether it was an outpost or whether it was one of the big ports, that always used to just dump itself down to about 10 frames a second for me in the old versions in 7. And then all of a sudden in 8 comes along and it's buttery smooth. It really is, and fair play to it. Now, one of the things that they said about Update 9 is that the one thing that they're still to optimize are the character NPC animations, which does kind of mean that when you think about it for conflict zones, we've got a lot of people running around, a lot of NPCs running around being animated. That does need optimization. Anyway, Shan.
I was going to ask just a general question of, do we feel as though we are close to being playable on a console in terms of FPS and progress? I mean, I've been thinking there've been 9 updates, each of which have been performance related. So how much closer do you think we are to being able to run on a console? And I realise there's all sorts of console specific optimizations you can do. But from what I'm hearing, I'm quite worried about the console release.
You know what? This is just my opinion. Is that I think there's probably going to be another couple of updates for the PC, which will probably take us up to Christmas. by Christmas, if they keep on this level of improvement, I reckon that they'll get there.
I think that's incredibly optimistic.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I was going to say probably March, April, May, around that time. I think that's when we would see it. And that is optimistic on my side.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, if we're saying 30 FPS on Beast PCs is the what they're aiming for, it's going to get crucified in reviews at 30 FPS on consoles.
Yeah. They've got to be able to at least get 45 on a GTX 980, I think, which apparently is the card that David Braben has. So if they can get the boss's PC to be doing 45 FPS in a busy situation.
He didn't say how many 980s he's running it on.
Yes.
That was the problem, isn't it? Actually, he said, "Oh God, if I can't remember the exact wording. Is that he's got a 980 in his machine, and they need to run it at least 30 FPS. I mean, what's the equivalent of an Xbox graphics card wise? Is it 2060 or something?
No, it's about 980ish, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Well,
I
it
thought it was
depends which
more.
Xbox. Depends which Xbox. Depends which Xbox.
Xbox One is equivalent to a GTX 750.
Oh,
seriously, a 750?
Uh-huh.
They're going to struggle.
Xbox One X is the equivalent to a GTX 1060. Base PS4 is a GTX 750 Ti. Is the equivalent from what I'm just reading here, and that's the first answer that I've got. So,
wow. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, they've still
I think
got
they've
a long road ahead of themselves.
Right. Well, I take it back because I thought that it was a lot further. The graphics were a lot more advanced on the consoles. Obviously not. Oh well. Right. Well, moving on.
Yikes.
Yes. Moving on from there. I mean, obviously they've got new missions included in this. These are the new delivery missions and the new smuggling missions, which you talk to someone or deliver something to someone instead of actually stealing from crates. Has anyone played those?
Yes.
How did you find them?
I liked them the first couple of times that I did them, but what I would really, really like is to go down and pick up a package or go and deliver a package to a person and have them say, "Oh, mate, while you're here, would you mind offing this bloke round the corner?"
So like a chain mission then?
Yeah, those kind of things would be really cool.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because that was something that they said in Update 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll come on to that later. I mean, I've been playing quite a few of them, and I quite like them, even though at the moment their lips don't move.
They're telepathic. It's new.
Yeah, it's obviously telepathy or something like that.
It's like Luaxana Troy, talking to a daughter. He sort of stands there looking regal, and the words just sort of drift across.
I've likened it to a Godzilla movie. Where the dubbing is all wrong, or maybe Squid Games with the sound off or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but the actual game, I mean, the variations of go to this crate or steal from this crate, but I just quite like the fact that you can you actually talk to people. Has anybody encountered the new wrinkles in the missions yet? Where your assassination target runs away, or you're attacked by bounty hunters due to what you've done on the ground.
I haven't. No.
No, me either.
No, I haven't. I haven't actually come across any. Mostly because I haven't actually done any of the. Any of those kind of missions.
I don't think I saw one the other day when I was specifically looking for missions. I don't think I had an assassinate a lad mission. It was all go and see this person and pick up the thing directly from the human.
No, I mean I've been looking for them, but every time I come across them, I've kind of chickened out. I don't know why. Before this one, I've been perfectly fine to do them, but now I'm a little bit. Ugh. Anyway, now one of the big ones that was that came out this update was the Megaship Concourse. Now, Psychic, you've walked around it. What was your impressions?
I thought it was really, really smooth. I was very impressed with the frames. And we had I thought it was really cool. I like the fact that it was laid out differently and that it was a new space to discover, and it made me think, oh, they really need to add some more differentiation to the Coriolis concourses. That would be very nice, please. I haven't been in one of the ones where you can see the rotating bit on or outside the window. I worry that is going to make me seasick.
Ooh. Right. Okay.
Has anyone tried it in VR? Because usually if you're going to be seasick, it'll be in VR.
Oh, there's a sore subject, isn't it?
Yes.
No, no one will have tried. Well, I suppose on the big VR screen, it'll be a bit.
Well, what you can do is go in the external camera and then maneuver it in front of your face, so it's where your eyes would be, and that's kind of a hacky way of getting the on-foot VR working, because you get full VR if you go into the external camera.
I thought they actually did something to the external camera to stop you doing that.
No.
Oh, right. So you can still do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they do that, then there's going to... Well, at least I don't think they do. I haven't tried because the performance issues, I've not tried my VR headset with Odyssey in some time. But as far as I know, they haven't done that. And actually, to actively do that would be... That seems to be on the verge of spite, really, if you see what I mean. So I don't think that I would hope they wouldn't do that.
Yeah. And Psyche, I did see that you tried out the escape pods.
I did. I wanted there to be time. And I know that's silly, but it feels like at the moment it feels like fast travel, and it's almost as if you've died, and you go to like what would essentially be the rebuy screen, and you just thought, well, did I go to the rebuy screen? Lots have happened this week, but I just sort of like rematerialized in glass in my the station I was in previously, and it was just a bit weird.
Did you lose anything? I mean,
No.
was it the equivalent of a death, or you?
Well, you've done better than me, because whenever I get that death screen, I keep rematerializing in prison. and have to pay 10,000 credits for the privilege of being able to book a taxi.
Dear Frontier, can I please order my ship to the what's it called? The detention facility, please. That would be lovely.
Yes, everybody have to take taxis, don't they?
I don't want to have to pay for a bloody taxi to get back. I would say I would like to try out getting to a megaship with like a bounty or notoriety, and then using one of the escape pods and see if it redirects me, or if I get eaten by a Thargoid.
That's an easy way to test that.
Somehow I thought you'd say that. Shan, what's your impression?
Well, I was going to ask the question. How many megaship interior types are there?
One.
Well, there's only one, so it doesn't matter what the megaship type is.
Yeah, it's the Wells class megaship. So if you come across a Wells class megaship, normally that's the only one you can really land on. And also, you can walk around the concourse, but the megaships that are at the moment around where the Thargoids are attacking, the rescue megaships, you can't walk around them.
Right, so has that got a Sleepy Pete?
I haven't seen a Sleepy Pete there, no.
There's got to be a Sleepy Pete. I mean, he's like the constant of the galaxy. Wherever you go to Colonia, there's Sleepy Pete, and he's following you around.
What's the female equivalent?
Sleepy Petra.
Sleepy Petra. Well, I've seen a Sleepy Petra at Lave Station yesterday, and they don't seem to be permanent. They seem to change.
Mind you, Sleepy Pete did remind me of a certain US president yesterday at the COP26 conference. But there we go.
Yeah. Now, obviously, one of the things that I was looking forward to was actually emotes, and I have been emoting left, right, and centre all over the place. And I actually saluted one of the NPC guards, who saluted me back. I thought that was quite cool. That was quite cool. I was friendly with him, so obviously he wasn't shooting me at the time. Otherwise,
that's a new thing to try. Can you insult the guards through emotes?
No, but you know how last week we were wondering how long it would be before someone would come up with a way to make those emotes rude?
Yes.
Yes, well, someone did it within 45 minutes.
So what do they do? Since I've now been usurped in my request for no Malarkey, what was the suggestion?
Apparently, Nick came up with this one. What you do is you crouch up behind someone about an arm's length away, and then you trigger the wave emoji, and it does look as if you're caressing their buttocks.
Oh, that's the goose emote then.
Yes. So basically, that took them about 45 minutes to work out, and yeah, I'm quite sure that the imagination of the Elite Dangerous community will come up with new and more interesting ways.
You see, this is where Ben is missed these last couple of weeks, because I'm sure he would have got in 40 minutes rather than 45.
Yes, I mean, yes, that's pretty much it. I mean, Psychic, how have you been enjoying the emojis? Have you been socializing with other people?
I've been recreating Spider-Man memes all over the galaxy, and I had Mr. Goatee. I stepped away from my computer for 1 second and put on my beautiful Be Right Back screen and stepped away, and he was photobombing while I was away, and that was pretty cool because he was genuinely waving at the camera, which I thought was awesome.
Cool.
But yeah, it's been a really fun addition, and I adore the fact that you can wave at your ship and it buggers off. That's my favorite. But also the sarcastic clap is my other favorite.
Yeah, it's supposed to be genuine applause, but it comes across as the golf clap, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I take it neither of you other guys have actually found the need to use the emotes.
Not yet. I've just set up the keybinds while you've been talking, and I've accidentally hit launch instead of disembark because I was going to try them out. So I've got to fly out the station and come back in again before I can try them out.
Oh, just combat log and you'll appear back in the space station. You're all right.
Excellent. Right, now, finally, I have to ask this. Shan, are you disappointed that people can escape megaships? And by extension, what will be coming will be the fleet carriers?
Yes, I am. However, I did read a bug report. I think it was on the forums this week, where people couldn't. They got trapped inside the megaships and inside the carriers and couldn't escape. So if they know how they did that, then fine. But yeah, I mean, the thing is we should be able to trap people inside ships because it's all emergent content, isn't it?
It is.
So, why can't we just lock Ben away, for example, and just not let him out?
Because then we'll end up with bad publicity, just like they had with the slave traders, remember?
Yeah, I was going to mention that the people who took people on carriers to mine for them and then stranded them.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, we know, even though we think you'd protest too much, but
No,
Yeah,
I mean, on a serious gameplay perspective, I do think that you shouldn't be able to trap people inside a thing and deprive them of their gameplay, because it's their free time, and it's incredibly frustrating. However, from a fun point of view and a laugh point of view, you should be able to do that. You should be able to set your carrier as a detention ship. And then when people get a bounty, they appear on your carrier as if it's a jail, a detention ship, and then they pay you to get released from it.
Yeah,
Okay, I hope Frontier are taking notes here then.
We could do this. You know how the USA has for-profit prisons? Well, we could have a for-profit prison on our fleet carrier.
Exactly.
So it's a module you buy and fit your carrier, and then bad people get shipped to your prison cells and have to pay you to be let out and have the privilege of taking
Otherwise,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you impound their ship and can sell it.
That'd be quite good. And then you go around and you go and open play and try and get people in trouble so they get casted off to your prison ship.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is, though, you could use the BGS to manipulate the crime and punishment system so that people of the faction that you were associated with were the law and order. So there we go. Emergent gameplay using the BGS to create your own prison ship needs to be a thing.
Right, we'll put that on the suggestion list for Frontier. Overall, I mean, just quickly, update 8. Positive, negative, or you just meh about it? Shan?
Oh, I see. I think the amount of work they put into it shows.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, there's still the elephant in the room, along with the 70% of people who responded to Obsidian Ant's survey that said the issues run deeper than just FPS. But that doesn't mean to say I don't appreciate the amount of work they put in.
Right, okay. Psychic.
Yes, yay, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting there, but it is slow going.
Yes, definitely. And Mac.
Yeah, I really concur with that. I think they're also missing a trick. Well, maybe it'll come later, but they're missing a trick with these emotes. You know how they like to sell cosmetics and make a little bit of extra cash? Well, you know what? They need to do an Arnold Rimmer salute. I mean, take my money. I'd definitely buy an Arnold Rimmer salute.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we're expecting, that, these are the base emotes, and they'll put more emotes in at a later point, which you have to pay for, a la Fortnite, and then all of a sudden everyone goes, oh no, they will told you it was turning them into Fortnite.
Didn't they show a Rimmer salute in one of the trailers?
No.
No.
Also,
that's just wishful thinking, that is.
I found a guy here who's asleep who isn't Sleepy Pete.
Well, yeah, you've got more than just bald Sleepy Pete. There's a whole load of people who are decided to fall asleep in the station.
Whole sleepy family.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's an overwhelming positive, because I've gone from basically having everything on low detail and really missing the graphical the graphical detail in Horizon, and I've gone to mid detail, and even the difference between low and mid is great. But it's just I understand where everybody else is coming from, because they're all saying, yeah, it's good, still needs more work, and they know it needs more work. Shannon.
Well, leading on from that statement, Colin, I'm just going to ask, do we feel is after 8 updates, the game is now at the point where it should have been back in May, or do we feel as though it still has a way to go before it reaches that point? I know it's a bit of a loaded question, but
yeah,
I'm curious what people think.
It's funny you should mention that because I'm producing Top Shift 130 at the moment, which I ask that exact same question, and my opinion is this is how it should have been for the May release at the very least. It needed this level of detail. It needed this kind of social interaction. It needed these extra little bits. What about the rest of you, Psychic?
It's a really difficult question to ask without I don't like a loaded question at the best of times. It's again, I just think it's getting there, and I'm prepared to give it time to see it get there. Like there were a lot of comparisons made between Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, and Star Citizen people being just blinkered because they're prepared to throw loads of money at a beta or at something that isn't really even, they're never sure that it's ever going to be released. And we've got Elite Dangerous, and some of us are kind of doing that same thing where we're just kind of just sitting and waiting, going, yeah, no, give it time, it'll be fine. And a little bit sticking our heads into the sand. But at the same time, I can only hope to be optimistic.
That is the same thing that I hear so much on the Star Citizen side of things.
Exactly.
It's especially after, the latest revelations and things like that. Okay, Mac, what did you think?
I think where it is now, I would say, this should have been like the gamma stage where we are about now. All the stuff, I think update 8 is about where, the truth be told, it would be about gamma release. All the stuff from the release we had in May till now, till really update 8 was really kind of beta. I think the trouble is it should have really been dropped. They could have, I think, done it as an early access. And that would have been fine because they'd have had a release. They could have said to the shareholders, "We had a release." Unfortunately, we had to early access because this, that, and the other. And then we could have gone through, early access beta, then early access gamma, and I think the trouble is what they've done now is it's going to take years to leave behind the stink of the bad reviews. It's going to take absolutely years because it's still reviewing at only about 30% positive, which I think now is a little bit less. It's a little bit jaded, if you see what I mean, because I think it's like night and day now compared to May. And I don't think they'd have had this trouble had they just been honest and said this is early release.
Yeah, I think that's more down to the business side of things, and not the developers. I mean, we'll move away from update 8 because we've got a lot more to cover at the moment. Now, next thing that happened was the meme generator of the Halloween stream happened last Thursday, with Zach, Sally, and Bruce all in the studio, even though there was technical difficulties. Anybody catch that stream?
Yes. I loved it. It was great.
I think I enjoyed the memes afterwards more than the actual stream itself. Not to say the stream was bad, but the memes were very good.
No, I don't really celebrate Halloween, to be fair. I am the Grinch of Halloween. I buy heaps of Haribo and leave them for a year and then give them out the sweets to trick-and-treaters. I'm that level of Grinch for them.
So in the stream they basically had a couple of Pictionary sections, which was quite fun, and they went over what we're going to talk about later, which is update 9 or things to come. which I thought was quite interesting. Obviously, update 9, the October development update came out. Or rather, they outlined what they hope to have in Update 9 with it. We'll be discussing that later in the show. And also, Super Cruise News 50 happened today, which, again, they were just going over the amount of bug fixes, what they're trying to do with these bug fixes. They know that there are still a couple of issues that they need to get sorted, which mostly revolve around anarchy systems and... Oh, what was the other one? Missions not completing?
Yeah, missions not completing.
Yeah, they say
Certain types of missions, I think it was.
Yeah, so they've been looking into that. So I think we'll probably get another update 8 patch, probably maybe in the next week or so, as they try and track it down. All depends on whether or not they find it at the server end or the client end, I think. In a little bit more positive news, Steam charts obviously for the end of October happened, and it turned out that for the first time since the actual launch, there are now more people playing EDO than the previous month. Player numbers went up.
By how much?
I think it's 10%, not 0.10, not point. Yeah, it's something low. But it's not going down anymore.
Yes, it's not like the COVID case numbers. They'll go up and then they'll go down again.
Well, I think it's update 7 brought a lot, kind of stabilized the numbers. The numbers are still 75% lower than what it was in the April launch, but it's the first time that the numbers have actually gone up.
To be fair, though, when a game is launched, that is usually the peak player numbers. There's always a decline once the newness wears off. So I'm personally not holding a 75% drop on launch against it too much.
It's quite ironic because when you actually compare the Steam charts for No Man's Sky and for Elite Dangerous, normally what happens is after No Man's Sky launch, it's normally about a month where their numbers are absolutely through the roof. And then by the end of the month or so, the numbers are about the equivalent of Elite Dangerous. That's different now. Obviously, the numbers for No Man's Sky is still reasonably high.
They do keep No Man's Sky do keep like knocking out those expeditions, though, don't they?
I think that's what's bringing people into No Man's Sky.
They do add a lot of content.
Though.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not. I think what Elite Dangerous needs to do is they need to do something similar or do something with the ongoing plotline to drag people in.
I guess, though, it's hard to do that with the resources you've got whilst you're still firefighting the effects of the May release, really.
Yes. Yeah, that is always going to be an issue. Anyway, finally, for those of you who don't know, Dr. K. Ross has now officially left Frontier. However, not to go empty-handed, there is a unregistered comms beacon in the system, Dr. K's Heart, a 1B, and it has a message in it. And we're not going to spoil the message. You have to go out there and find it. Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, bring a note, bring a pen and paper or a notepad, because it's one of these messages that spells out the message in the phonetic alphabet. So you will need to write it out.
Yeah, just like they did with the Thargoid's Return.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's all the development news for this week. Quite a lot. What has actually been happening in the game? Well, last Thursday, there was a massive Thargoid attack. According to, and it is still ongoing, actually. Several systems were attacked by the bugs, But according to the AXI, this seems to be a different kind of incursion. Even though the AXI have claimed to kill thousands and thousands of these things, they haven't made much of a dent in actually reducing the Thargoid presence, as most of the systems still have a massive presence against them. They're beginning to think that this is a different kind of Thargoid attack. Shan?
So, is this a genuinely different style of attack, or have they just ramped the spawn rate to over 9,000, if you see what I mean? Have they just increased the numbers, or is it a different form of attack?
Yeah. It's a Zerg attack. And although I must admit, I don't see anybody in the AXI complaining about the fact it's a Zerg attack. That's one of the things that they've always said, is that they're able to clean the combat, the conflict zones within approximately 2-3 days, and at the moment it's now 5 days running so far, and they haven't been able to reduce it.
It sounds like the Thargoids are adopting World War One tactics, where they just keep sending Thargoids over the proverbial top, get them mown down, and then just keep sending them without actually doing anything different.
It's like me playing StarCraft against Terran. I send about 1 million Zerglings, and they just get chewed up by the Terran's tank lines.
And it is beginning to look as if maybe Admiral Tanner might have been onto something. Maybe Salvation's, I don't know, genocide weapon triggered something with the Thargoids.
So are we saying that Salvation shot his load, and then that's it now?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. Salvation is now providing multi-engineered Guardian weapons in the Merope system. So as long as you're fighting Thargoids, you can buy them.
But not the big shooty thing.
Not the big shooty thing that wiped out an entire system's worth of Thargoids, though. We don't actually know what that was.
Yeah, he's a one-shot wonder then, isn't he, really?
Yeah, I mean, I actually played, I fought against Thargoids for the first time in Odyssey, and I must admit, they've gone and changed the designs slightly. They're much more glowy, and especially the scouts. I was actually quite impressed. I've been also hyperdicted a couple of times with the new hyperspace tunnel. It's different.
So does that make them easier to shoot if they're glowy? I mean, if I was a Thargoid, I'd be thinking, hang on a minute, these humans, they like glowy things, and they can see us. I know, I'll make us black.
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that, because I remember having trouble dealing with swarms of 7 Thargoid scouts. Because normally, if you go to a threat 4, you end up with either 4 marauders or 3 mixed, which will normally be a regenerator and a inciter and a marauder, or you end up with being attacked by 7 of them, which is basically 2 marauders, 2 inciters, 2 regenerators, and probably, what was the other one? A berserker. And that 7 swarm normally just used to wipe my ship out. This time, I was able to hold my own quite easily against all 7. And I'm wondering whether or not, because they said they stopped making the scouts the equivalent of an elite pilot, an elite kill in reward, whether or not they've actually reduced the difficulty of the scouts, but at the same time.
Maybe you just got better.
Oh, well, I don't think so. I don't think so. I thought, once you're out of practice, it's a little bit, you're out of practice. And I hadn't gone after Thargoid scouts for over a year.
Perhaps the AXI can let us know whether they think they've been nerfed or not.
Claxian in the chat room has said the modified Gauss cannon that you get from Salvation is trash, though, which is a bit disappointing. In other news, also on the 28th, there was a resources boost for Torval Mining. That was the reward for the previous week's CG. Now, this was quite interesting. On the 29th, the initial stage of the Colonia Bridge became operational, which, for those of you who are unaware, is a whole network of megaships that are reaching out between Colonia and the bubble, and they detected a SOS. Did anyone else get involved in this?
Yes.
Mm.
Because of course I did.
Yeah. And how long did it take people to find the SOS?
Well, we did the flight assist announcement and they found it already.
Yeah. It was it was I think 40 minutes.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, if that. I think Canon found it within 40 minutes, which is a bit of a shame, but and I don't think we'll spoil it because I think it's a little bit too close. Oh, Shan.
I was going to say, I would be fairly depressed if I was a dev putting this sort of content in the game, because they probably spent a week working out where to put it and what it was and all this kind of stuff. And someone goes and finds it so quickly. I'd be, oh, blooming heck. Yeah, I'd be kind of thinking, maybe I should have hidden it better. Or, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, hats off to the guys who found it. You know, well done. But I think if looking at it from a dev's point of view, I'd have been.
So this was a much smaller radius than before. It was like within 50 light years, wasn't it? From the
Yeah,
spot?
it wasn't a great amount of systems to look for.
Not to negate that finding it within 45 minutes is a massive achievement or anything, but it wasn't like it. Previously, we've been given 350 light years in every direction, and that's taken a little longer. And because they're ruthlessly efficient, they just find these things really quickly. I got to the point where I'd opened the spreadsheet.
And they
found.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I mean, they've done jokes about this in sort of about World of Warcraft, where the new update comes out in World of Warcraft, and within 2 or 3 hours, we've got people on the forums going, "Well, that was quick. What next?"
Well, I mean, I was sort of a nickname for that person.
It's content locus, wasn't it?
It's content locus. So there's new content, and people swarm over it, consume it, and then disappear, and then complain there's nothing to do. So.
There was, however, there was a little tiny bit, without spoiling anything, there is a little tiny bit at the end, which when you get to the end of everything, there is a very, very small bit that still leaves questions.
Oh, yes.
It generates some questions, and there is something that is corrupted at the end where we don't have all of the information. So I don't think this is quite finished yet.
Yeah, well, I hope it hasn't. For those of you who, I would actually say that it's worth looking out because it's a nice little horror story.
Mm-hmm. And it's got a beautiful, beautiful ending.
It has, which I can't even hint at, because if I'm wrong, then I've just gone and spoiled it all in the wrong way. But move on.
I mean, if you spoil anything, like people will just come after you and just eat you alive.
No, I wouldn't want that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, we would. Can we watch?
No. Also, there was a article in Galnet about the view from Colonia, which was all about the Colonia Bridge being set up. Also, on the 1st of November, as people are already aware, the Orion University is going after the Dredger clan, and the Dredger clan have shut down their dredger to stop the university from taking it back. However, advocacy has defended the Dredger clan, saying that the same rights that are applied to these generation ships should also be applied to the Dredger clans. as they are their own insular society who should be left alone, which is, the equivalent of the Prime Directive, I suppose. So I've got a sneaking suspicion that storyline is not going away anytime soon. And finally, we have that Hadrian Duval has accepted Imperial protection. He is stepping away from Nova Imperium, his own faction, and he is becoming a ward of the Senate. In related news, ACT have stated that in its investigation into the Dyson City attack, it has yielded results. Although details remain embargoed for security reasons, a significant breakthrough is expected to be announced soon. So, that's been the plot this week. Any potential... What do people think? Got any ideas where all this might be heading?
Combat CGs.
What, you mean defending or attacking the Dredger clan?
Yeah, and also Duval.
Mm-hmm.
Just combat CGs coming out of the wazoo, man.
Well, I've got no problem with combat CGs.
Same. All good by me.
Bring it on. Right.
I've never done one.
You never done
Never
one?
done one.
I've never done a combat CG. Ever.
Well, now is the time, because there are going to be lots.
Is it Mac is more of a trader than a
He's a lover, not a fighter.
Well, I do have combat elite. I mean, I do plenty of conflict zones, but I've never done them in a context of a CG. Oh wait, I did. Oh yeah, I did do it once, and we were on the losing side. It was that one with Liz Ryder, where it was the Empire versus Liz Ryder, and I went there,
right.
and I was the only one
sided with
on
the
the Empire side, and there were about 15 people on the list, and they chased me out there.
Ah, yes.
'Cause I always play an open play.
It is a bit more helpful when they're the numbers are more balanced and you're not outnumbered 15-1.
Yes.
Right. Well, that's the news within the galaxy. There'll probably be a more detailed breakdown with Galnet news at the end of the show with Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. But in the meantime, it's that time of the week again.
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art.
Yes, and welcome back. Apologise for the silence. We're still waiting for people's feedback to see which one they prefer.
Well,
It's the dubstep version.
Yeah, based on the contents of this week's store, the dubstep version is entirely appropriate for this one.
Yes, I mean, normally for the last couple of weeks we haven't really had much happening in the store, and then of course Halloween happened and tons of stuff came out. Well, first of all, it's a Day of the Dead celebration today, which Frontier put out in the Elite Dangerous Twitter. So there's lots of lovely sort of Grim Reaper style Mexican.
The sugar skulls.
Yes.
They're amazing.
So if you want a Sugar Skull bobblehead, now is the time to have one.
There's also lights.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there's Sugar Skull lights and they're amazing. I've got all of them.
So there we have Psychic supporting Frontier with just a huge amount of arcs.
After this week, yes.
Yeah, Shan.
I think they've actually shown a reasonable amount of imagination this time around. You know, the suits aren't just cowboy hats and scarves. You know, they've really gone to town on them. The ectoplasm one looks like it's someone's escaped from a modern art exhibition.
Yeah, well, I hadn't
actually Jackson Pollock.
I hadn't actually got to the actual Halloween suits yet, but yeah, there's lots of Halloween goodies, and there's three main suits, which were the Trickster suit, the X-ray suit, which is the walking skeleton, and the Exoplasm suit, which you just mentioned. Now they are 40% off until the 9th of November. I think they all looked quite awesome.
They're amazing. They're so good.
Yeah. So yes, for once, I was actually tempted to buy some. It takes a lot to get me interested in these things now.
Yeah, I can appreciate the amount of work that went into them, but they cost arcs. So, as I sound Dragon's Den, I'm out. But yeah, they look fun.
Psychic.
We did theory crafting. Sally and I did some theory crafting for suits. And then the ever wonderful Commander Zulu Romeo got back in touch and was like, yes, no, you're right, it does work. So with the pumpkin suit with the lime and the pink ectoplasm and a couple of extra little accoutrements, I think that come from the there's a pink cowboy as well, which has got some teal bits in it. You can finally be a fully pink commander, and Sally and I are very excited about this fact.
Ah, right, I see. Does the ectoplasm suit come in bright glowing green as well?
Yes, I think
so. In that case, that suit really we need to send to the Hammers of Slough, because that is what people from Slough look like, because they glow in the dark.
Covered in bio waste, you mean?
Covered in whatever waste they have there, because it's all glowing in the dark, isn't it?
Yeah. On a serious note, sorry about the hammers. I have a Nat White update. Do you remember she was suffering quite heavily from COVID a few weeks ago?
Oh yes.
Well, fortunately, they let her out of hospital a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
But unfortunately, it seems she has a degree of long COVID now.
Ooh, that's not good.
So is actually suffering a lot of fatigue and finds it an effort even to get up and down the stairs to collect her groceries. So although she's out of the woods, we wish her a speedy recovery.
Yeah, long COVID is not pleasant. As I don't know whether I had it or not, but it took me a while to get over my batch of COVID, so I can understand where she's coming from there.
Maybe we should send her a ectoplasm suit so she can look as ill on the outside as she is on the inside.
Well, this is what you. This is just to make you feel even worse. There you go. Sympathetic as always, Shan, eh?
Of course, I'm nice.
Right. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with our main discussion of the evening.
Hi, I'm Trent Stephen Findless Jr., and I'm here to tell all you pilots about a great new service. Take a listen to my friend, Pete.
My name's Pete, and I'm a long-distance haulier. I drive a Puma, shipping farm machinery from Leasty to Saweo. I love my family and I don't mind being a hard-working blue-collar dad, but I'm tired of seeing my family grow old in front of my eyes. Every time I make the run there and back, I lose 15 days in hyperspace. My family is starting to notice that they're getting older and I'm not. My wife had a baby last week, did a week of shifts, and now my kid's got teeth. I wish there was some way my family could get old at the same speed as me.
There is, Pete.
How?
By buying into my new service, Finderlist Cryogenics. We aim to put the freeze on the premature aging of your family. The process is simple.
Our unique family centres allow you to drop off your loved ones on the way to work. Simply hire the number of cryogenic pods you need and keep your family asleep while you fly among the stars. We ensure synchronicity with your flight patterns so they spend the same time awake that you spend in the cockpit.
And when you get home, bingo! Your family is the same age as you. Never lose family time in hyperspace again. We guarantee that you'll never miss another birthday, anniversary, or funeral.
Wow, Trent, that sounds great. Where do I sign?
Simply put your credit card details into our special webpage under the hashtag WeFreezeYourLove. We'll take care of the amounts, no need to worry about that.
It's so simple. I can't wait to keep my family in a secure block of ice. It's a weight off my mind.
Finderlist Cryogenics, now at your local spaceport.
Finderlist Cryogenics, because the family that grows old together goes cold together.
Do you suffer from problems with incontinence? If you do, then our pee-pads are for you! Yes, Commander, your very own pee-pad while you're out there exploring in the universe. Then you can go whenever you feel the need. No need for a toilet pesking back there and then having to wonder, how do they deal with the poop? No, you just go in the pad and discard it at your local station. Let them worry about the physics of disposing of sewage in space. That's not your problem, Commander.
Natural remedies have always been some of the galaxy's finest, so when we discovered a wholly natural way of slimming down and reducing your appetite, we had to share it with everyone. Harnessing the amazing powers of our native parasitic life, we've solved an age-old problem. Vega Slimweed has been used by settlers of the region for decades with undeniable results and significant health benefits. If you think that Vega Slimweed could be the solution you're looking for, speak to your doctor today. Travelling with Vega Slimweed ingested may constitute smuggling. Please check before your journey and declare yourself at customs for an internal search. Failure to digest does not constitute grounds for reimbursement. Side effects may include, but are not limited to, increased blood pressure and heart rate, insomnia, nervousness, blurred vision, restlessness or headache. Some forms of parasite may cause stomach side effects like constipation, dry mouth, nausea or vomiting. A small sample of patients exhibit full body paralysis, catatonic states and internal hemorrhaging. Parasite must be purged before pupation, else death will occur.
Lave Radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
And welcome back. Now, obviously, the October update was dropped last Thursday, where they were showing off what they are hoping to bring within Update 9, and also what is on the cards for future updates after that. Now, the first thing that they discussed was about the fact of the performance optimization. They went through an entire list of the extensive work that had been carried out in Update 8, which was light and shadows, improvement to glass, skin, particles, all with high level rendering optimizations. But then they said they know that the work's not done. So in Update 9, we can expect to see further improvement for character animation, mid to far distance, planet rendering, lighting, scattered rocks and object physics, AI and character models, and a lot more. This should contribute to a much better Odyssey experience. Now, they have also said that this, Sandro used to say, this is no promises, no guarantees. I think that's effectively what they say in here about the various, please note all this following is at various stages of progress. So we can't guarantee that they will definitely be in Update 9, but this is what we hope to be putting in, or hopefully we'll be getting in Update 9. Shan?
Just a kind of a question around that is, do we think they should be adding extra stuff bearing in mind they still have lots of optimizations to do. And does adding extra stuff actually decrease performance?
I think they're trying a balancing act. Because if they just did, if it took say 2 to 3 months to put in all the optimizations that they need to in order to get the game running, people would be walking away, wouldn't
Also, I think you've got it's not necessarily a mutually exclusive things. The teams who are doing the extra stuff are not necessarily the teams who are working on optimization. For instance, the render team have a fairly specific job. They work on, well, the rendering. So the fact that, say, I don't know, new missions or new this, that, and the others being done doesn't really affect the rendering team because they're not working on that stuff. So I think a lot of these things aren't, that you often hear these things, oh, they should be doing this instead of that. But often the people doing this and the people doing that are different teams and they don't have interchangeable skill sets. So it's not something that there's no opportunity cost, as it were.
But there's surely there's a
doing
finite
both
amount
this
of
and that.
surely there's a finite amount of CPU cycles and things like that, which it doesn't matter who does the theme stuff, is still going to be used.
But a lot of this stuff is when you're not interacting with it, it's not actually using any like for instance now the base I just went to, it only exists as data now. It's not taking up any CPU cycles. It's not part of my instance. So extra stuff isn't necessarily sitting using CPU cycles all the time. And even when it is, it may not necessarily be the thing that uses the major part of the CPU cycles. So quite often you can do it's not a case of this or that. You can do this and that because the teams are separate and the new feature isn't necessarily going to have much of a performance impact anyway. So you might as well do it and give players more things to do.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yes.
like it.
Well, we've seen improvement, haven't we? They added stuff in the last thing, and we also saw improvement to performance. So it's kind of a we don't really need to wait and see because we can see it happening.
Well, we just said earlier that we were unsure it actually made any difference to lots of people. So
from my
No,
experience,
hang on.
I think you misheard. But from my experience, it's up and down, but it is a marked improvement as to where it was. So we are seeing improvement. There's no, in my eyes, there is no denying that we were seeing improvement. Yes, do they have a long way to go? Absolutely. For it to be compatible with other consoles, yes. But we are still seeing those improvements. It is disingenuous to say that the things that we are adding, or the things that Frontier are adding to the game, are negatively impacting improvement.
No, I asked a question, and to be fair, you've experienced an improvement. It doesn't mean to say everyone has experienced an improvement.
Well, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for the wider Elite
Well, that's right.
community. The other thing that I would say in regard to that is we had the great drought when they were improving stuff back along before Odyssey came out, when they stopped literally everything and we got not necessarily radio silence, but we had a very long time of not a lot happening that we had to fill. And a lot of people stopped playing then and that kind of thing. And I don't think that Frontier can risk that going forward with Elite.
Yeah, that was one of the problems that, I mean, you remember when when it dropped, we wanted to know whether or not we were getting new SRVs or there were new ships in the pipeline or anything like that. And there was radio silence for about 2 weeks. And, you know, that is where a lot of people lost heart. You saw the player numbers drop. And yeah. But to go back to your point, Shan, normally, Mac's quite right. Normally they have these different teams with different specialities. Not every programmer, not every developer can work on doing the optimizations. They've probably got a set team, which are a graphics team, which specifically work on improving, designing and getting the graphics, getting the most out of the graphics engine. Now, the issue is there's a finite number of them. Say, I don't know, this is just stuff off the top of my head, say 15 people. Those 15 people are just full on at that. They can't really work on anything else. So they have, say for instance, for update 7 and update 8, they've been working on this one particular section to get that bit working, and then they'll move on to the next one. It doesn't stop the design team doing, or the some of the other teams actually coming up with new additional content. Just like for the what is it, the narrative team? That's a team of developers and designers. They're putting stuff together, but chances are they don't have the same things that will help out the graphics team doing the rendering.
Sure. I mean, I guess where I was coming from with the question was everything you do has a resource cost to it. It may not be big, it may be small, but there is a cost to it. Be memory, CPU cycles, graphical memory, whatever it is, there is a cost to it. So my question is do we think there's a tipping point where you can't actually get any more optimized? And if you like, the cost of doing this stuff builds up and then negatively impacts performance. That's
so
kind of
let me get this straight. You're scared that if they put more stuff in, the frame rate will drop even more.
I'm asking the question: is that a possibility, or do we think they've got more bandwidth or more resource they can use to put this stuff in without affecting things too much?
Well, considering that I went from low to mid detail without, and still got performance improvement, I think that they have. And the places where the performance is still bad normally is actually covering the very areas where they've said in update 9 they're looking at next. So I think once they start getting these things down to a T, then I think we'll be okay. They'll be able to add new stuff in. They have been adding new stuff in. We've got turrets in the conflict zones, for instance. That doesn't slow the conflict zones down. Anyway,
see. Move on.
Yep. Right now, apart from these performance updates that they were talking about, the big headline feature for Update 9, I guess, will be the Twin Seat Combat SRV. Now, there was one small teaser of it, which that looks like a massive railgun to me on this picture.
Is that an SRV railgun, or is that a on base railgun?
No, this is what looks like a railgun on top of the combat SRV. This is what they've said it is.
Didn't Bruce refer to it as a cannon on the Halloween show?
Did they refer to it as a cannon?
I think he might have done.
Oh,
I think
no.
he might have done, and then looked really like, oh no, I've said something wrong. I'm sure that might be completely incorrect. I will quite happily say I'm not 100% on that, but there is part of me that is pretty certain that he went, oh, it looks like it's a cannon. I think it's going to be a cannon.
So what's it firing? Can we tell, or is that it?
Well, we don't.
Blob, the explosion.
Well, we know from the live stream this afternoon that Arf is very proud of the fact that he managed to take that photo because he made that shot. That is a in-game action of Arf shooting a skimmer, and it went down in one shot.
The other thing that he told us was that she is thick, with 2 C's. He didn't use that terminology, but he just said she chunky.
She chunky.
Do we know what sort of skimmer it was? I'm assuming it's the little one rather than a Goliath.
Well, no, he didn't. Well, we're assuming that it's not a Goliath, but this does. You do wonder whether or not this is the SRV that you need to take on Goliaths. Because I don't know if you've ever taken on a Goliath in one of our standard scarabs, but you don't last long.
Well, if you use the turret, you can do better.
Yeah.
I always tend to drive them from I always tend to drive them from the turret when I'm shooting stuff in SRVs, because with a little bit of practice, it's just way better. And it works really well in VR, actually, using the turret, 'cause you can quickly take a glance in the direction which you're actually driving, because the turret's not necessarily pointing. You do have to have the heart and stomach of a concrete elephant to do it, but I have, fortunately, so it works all right for me. But yeah, I find the turret view is actually pretty good in the standard SRV. But yeah,
I must admit, I still haven't got my head around it. Even when I'm driving around plant scanning, at the moment, I try and drive from the turret, and I feel very nauseous.
Yeah, I'm like you, Mac. When I'm fighting stuff, I drive from the turret because it's just easier.
Yeah, it does remind me of Mass Effect's Mako, just by the gun. Is that just me? Yeah. So apparently, this is a multi-crew SRV, so we can have two people. They did heavily imply that you could have one person driving and one person gunning, but they didn't actually confirm it. And they are hoping that effectively what you could have is you fly along in your new 4-person crewed ship, and then you can drop 2 of these tanks or combat. No, they called it combat SRVs. They specifically avoided calling them tanks. But you can drop 2 of these, obviously, with 2 of your crew in each.
So Slam Dunk sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, Slam Dunk in the chat was thinking what I was thinking, and they say, I'm wondering if you can be killed individually in the SRV, or whether you are killed as a pair if the SRV is destroyed.
That's an interesting point. Probably, if they stick to what happens in a multi-crewed ship, you're both killed.
Because these are real multi-crew, not pretend multi-crew, aren't they?
Unless, of course, you manage to eject. Because you can still leave the SRV at any time. You can leave the SRV and still be part of the team.
So when they say they're not tanks, are they implying they're like glass cannons?
No, well, they've implied that they're chunky and they're able to take more punishment from things than your standard SRV. Otherwise, it wouldn't be combat SRVs. But they're obviously faster than a tank, because I would have thought a tank would be actually quite slow. Or they do, or as Little Bigian just said in the chat, they don't have tracks. I don't know whether or not you need to have tracks in order to be called a tank.
No,
was there not some concept art a really long time ago with an SRV with half tracks on it? Or have I dreamt that because I play too much World of Tanks?
I don't know. There's definitely a picture, wasn't there? There was in the background of the picture that was released a few months ago of an SRV with something that looked like that gun on the top, and I think that might have half tracks. So I think you might be right about that.
I think it might just been concept art, though.
No, because there was an image of the actual SRV with the alternative gun as a very small part of a banner, if I remember rightly. Oh, we'll just have to welcome Commander Fenbot, who's decided to raid the Twitch chat channel with 25 people. Hello.
Hello.
Nice of you to join us. Welcome to Lave Radio. Yeah, but I must admit, I can certainly see these things being useful in raids. Anybody else looking forward to having a drive?
Yes.
Yes.
You say that so often on this show. Yes, I am.
As Elvis Cremens has said in chat, though, they're asking 2 seats won't mean you need 2 people in it all the time.
No, but you will need at least one driver.
Well,
I think it'd be quite good to think of it. You could use it as a like rally events as well. But you know how you have somebody reading the pace notes and somebody driving. You could do rally
that's
events.
one heck of a starting gun, though, Mac, isn't it?
You could have aggressive. You could have rally events where you're supposed to shoot the other competitors.
So basically, we're back to Death Race 2000 or
Well,
Death Race 3370.
That's the point. Will it be able to target individual players?
Well,
We
you can
have to
target
wait and see.
Yeah, if you can target individual players at the moment with your standard SRV, so I can't see any difference. I'm actually looking forward to be able to. It'll be interesting to see what happens when you deploy one of these and the Enforcer troopers turn up with their rocket launchers. That's going to be interesting.
I'd imagine you'd still be toast.
I just hope she's thick enough to be able to just withstand 1 or 2. Just enough to be able to, hightail it out of there. With your lad in the turret, like blasting away. Oh, man.
Will you be able to change seats, though, do you think? Do you think if you're the driver, you'll be able to swap around and be the gunner, or would you have to stop, get out, and get in the gun seat?
I have a sneaking suspicion that that's something you'd have to do.
What, get out and change seats?
Yeah, get out and basically get out, and then you go back in, and then you choose whichever role you've got, because whoever's first in chooses whichever role they want, and then the second person's just left with the other one.
So it'd be like in Grand Theft Auto, then, really.
Mm. So yeah, so this is the big headline feature, and I think everybody is basically looking forward to this one. I mean, it has now been. When did Horizon launch? 2015. God, 6 years. We've had one SRV in 6 years, and this is the first time we're getting another one. No wonder people are excited.
Do you think they'll have different store alert paint jobs when they have the SRV come out?
Yeah, do we need a tankety tank store alert song?
A tankety tank?
Tankety tank.
Is that like blankety blank?
Well, you might be
was
firing blankety blanks, but not at my tankety tank.
That was very close to starting with the letter W.
That is Docker's conversation.
Are you Ben in disguise?
Yes, stick it in the tank bank. Yes. But they're not tanks. They've said they're not tanks. Anyway, moving on from the for the armored SRV. Next thing that they've got is there's going to be further mission additions and improvements. Now, they've said that they're going to continue expanding player missions and their complexity, striving to make each mission more diverse and dynamic. As we previously mentioned, we're going to work on some of the examples which we've featured. They're basically going into further information here. There'll be mission contacts at points of interest. So I'm assuming that this means that you'll have someone similar that there are on the concourse that say, "I got a mission for you." Oh, quickly, Shan, if you want to go back over onto the SRV.
Well, I was just going to say, if you're in one of these SRVs, does that make you Lieutenant Gruber from the lower low in your little tank?
But they're not tanks.
It's a little tank, isn't it? It's not a tank. It's a little tank. It's an armored car. So you are Lieutenant Gruber from the lower low if you drive one of these ones around.
Psychic's going to now ask us what's hello.
No,
Go on,
oh God, no! God, no! How very dare you?
I thought you'd be too young.
I mean, they have repeats, man.
Oh, good morning. Anyway, you want to talk about further missions because I never got a chance to get it out, did I?
As we had progressed further on, the Didn't they say it wasn't only just at settlements? I'm sure. Now again, I feel like the Halloween stream went by in a haze for some reason, but I'm sure that there has been mention of a going down to these points of interest and people maybe needing refueling or helping out like that.
Yes. I mean, it says some of these individuals at these point of interests may need help to get their ship running, or they may be waiting for a courier to complete the next step of sensitive delivery. And sometimes you just find you're just in time to save people from opportunistic raiders. This psychic smacks to me of a lot of listen, I'm stuck here. Do you think you could pop over here, deliver this package, or pop over to this place and off this person for me?
I mean, I'm down for that. You know, I'm down for that.
Yeah, it does sound like they're expanding on the actual mission system here, and this is the other thing that I was getting confused about. They've got settlement mission providers. Now this looks like they've got social spaces within the settlements, because I know that you can walk around the bars that in the entertainment complexes. They'll have people who will who will have requests for the player, so that's more like the mission givers in the concourse. These missions are noted to be a lot more personal and will be granted by actual inhabitants who you can visit again later to complete the mission.
Do you think we're getting close to multi-phase missions with this update?
I'm hoping so. I mean, they have said that this is the kind of thing that they're expanding on. And yeah, I mean, Slam Dunk has made a nice observation. Have there been any SLV-based missions from settlements where, drive out to a waypoint, find a box, bring it back? There haven't. There's been stuff, fly out to settlements, get something, bring it back, but no driving.
I'm trying to remember, because I'm sure back early in Horizons there were missions where you used to have to take out an SRV and pick up a bandit or escape pods.
Oh yeah, you've still got those escape pod rescues.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think whether I had to fly out or not. I think some of them were close enough, particularly if you just started out close to the in the game, you could actually drive out and get them. But I don't know whether that was just an optional, I want to drive out and get them, or whether you could fly out as well. No, interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that they add in, the chained mission effects that they do for some of the ship missions. I think that kind of thing is needed.
So if they appear as an NPC, sorry, just speculating. If they appear as an NPC, can you do a Skyrim on them and shoot them, or will they be invincible?
Immortal.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and find out. I hope that they are shootable. They're not shootable. People aren't shootable in the concourse, but I'm hoping that when you're walking around settlements, you'll always have the option to pull your gun, because otherwise it just feels wrong.
Yeah, let's try that.
And finally, another big item that got everybody excited was the multi-limpet controller. Now, this is a new module that works in addition to existing limpet controllers, allowing players to deploy multiple limpet types using a single module slot. Right. This has been requested for so long. What does everyone think to that one? Matt?
Well, I don't know. Sounds like a good idea. There was a caveat that it's not as good as the regular dedicated limpet controllers, but certainly for exploring, certainly in smaller ships where you want to also do some hull sealing and fuel ratting, it has, because if you've got multiple limpet controller, if you can have fuel transfer limpets and hull repair limpets in one module. That would be nice. It'll save some space and save some module space that you can use potentially for other, like you could use a smaller ship because it'll free up enough space so you can put a cargo bay in it because you've got to store the limpets somehow.
Yeah.
So it's a nice addition. I don't think it's going to be, well, for me it's not going to. I don't think I'll find it life changing or anything like that. But it'll certainly be quite nice to have.
I must admit, I kind of expect what will happen is that they'll have the multiple limpets, but they'll be you'll only have the same performance of the limpet launcher below it. So you could have basically a big slot 5 with 2 limpet controllers, but all of those will be the equivalent of Type 3 ones. If you see what I mean, instead of having Type 5.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So
the class of the controller. I think it'd also be handy because it's always annoying to have to take up a space with a prospector controller.
Yes, that's one of my annoyances when you're mining.
It does make it good for explorers too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, this is what I was saying is for if you're well, also if you're doing explorers with a fleet carrier and you need to mine for fuel on some epic voyage somewhere. We did that once with which expedition? It was one of Yannick's expeditions. They're moving the fleet carrier out to the arse end of the galaxy, and so we needed to mine. So it'd been for fuel. So it'd be nice to have it then, but I'm sure there'll be other opportunities.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the whole what they've actually announced for Update 9. I am hoping that they do the same as they did for Update 8 and aiming for sort of mid-November. That would be nice. But does this actually make you look forward to Update 9? Obviously, Psychic.
Yeah, of course. I like the fact that they're bringing new stuff. I really do enjoy the fact that there's new stuff coming all the time, while at the same time they're working on these optimizations. After a very long time of having to breathe our own life into the galaxy, it feels really nice that that Frontier are doing it for us.
One thing I did notice with the fleet carrier update, if we're moving on to that,
which we'll come to in a minute, because I wanted to have your thoughts on Update 9 first.
Wait and see for me. I mean, the mission updates and the complexity they're putting in is welcome for the missions. I'm thinking, yes, they give some much needed complexity to that. The dual seat SRV, I'm not sure. It depends if you can have a multi-crew, i.e. you can have one of your crewmen in your ship use it, or do you have to actually have a friend who can come with you to use it? And I'm hoping you can use one of your crew members in it, because it's rather limiting for some people who prefer to play in solo or in different time zones, etc., etc. So I'm hoping you can have a multi-crew or crew member part of it. But again, we'll have to see.
Unless, of course, they just have it locked forward like they do at the moment.
Oh, you mean the driver is also the gunner?
Yeah, in the standard SRV at the moment, if you don't go into turret mode, it's always locked straight forward.
That makes it quite limiting then, really, doesn't it? Other than the firepower, it makes it quite a disadvantage to go in there.
Yes. Moving on, Mac, are you looking forward to Update 9? Is there stuff in there that's piqued your interest?
Yeah, all updates are good updates.
Excellent.
As long as they don't bring in like game-breaking bugs, of course. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, they hope that they don't. Now, obviously, they said coming up after Update 9. This is the kind of and finally moment. They said they're planning to put in fleet carriers interiors.
Yes, now that's what I want. So I can regally stand on the bridge of my fleet carrier and observe as we transit hyperspace.
Yeah, because that is actually one thing that they've said they're specifically putting in is the fact that you'll be able to experience a hyperspace jump from inside a carrier and enjoying the view. So I know that last time we were laughing about the fact of, oh yeah, you'll probably get to a fleet carrier and as soon as the jump happens, all the shutters comes down. So you still can't see anything. But they've gone out of their way and said, nope, this that you'll be able to enjoy the view. So yeah, Shan, this is what you want to talk about.
Yeah. In the image that's shown, it has a very Star Warsy Star Destroyer tone, doesn't it? With the grades and the things like that in it. The question I've got is, do we think the frameshift jump or whatever they use is going to be worth it to do multiple times, or is this one of these things where you watch the cutscene and then go and do something else? Is that something you want to see every jump, or do you think you'll see it a couple of times and then not worry about it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know because I don't have a fleet carrier. The thing is, Psychic wants to jump in here.
I have a fleet carrier, and I am still not bored of even just being inside of it when it does the jump thing, because it is so cool. It is such an immersive experience. Hell chuffing yeah, I'm going to be on that bridge watching that jump every bloody time, because it's a real spectacle. And like even when they jump out and when they jump in, it's still a real spectacle for me, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah,
and the other
it's funny that everybody is just excited about the fact that we'll actually be able to see a fleet carrier jump.
I 100% didn't think we were going to be able to get that. I was certain that wasn't going to happen.
Do we think we'll see like the capital ship jump from the other side of the jump? Because you know how spectacular the capital ship jump is with the black cloud of doom they create. Do you think that's the sort of effect they'll go to, or?
Well, that's the kind of effect that they have at the moment. It's a very similar sort of like black cloud of electrical storm doom amazingness. So I feel that we'll see a bit of a black cloud of doom, and then who knows what? Probably just a hyperspace jump, to be completely fair. But whatever it is, it'll be amazing.
I got a sneaking suspicion that what's actually happening, and I'm hoping that they do this, is that it looks to me as if when the hyperspace jump happens for a capital ship, it literally rips space-time apart and pushes the ship through basically a hole. It's like folding space in Dune. So basically, you've folded the space over, and you're basically shoving your
it tears
your
a
fleet
new
carrier
asshole in the space-time continuum.
I wasn't going to say
little big yin said it rips space a new one. Yeah, that's just a more polite way of putting it.
So another question, because they mention about different or new space station carrier services. And it does give an example of adding a ability for players to buy ships while on foot inside the carrier. I'm just wondering what we think they could add to additional services. And another question is, do we think they will add significantly to the maintenance cost of a carrier?
It's not significant anyway. It isn't significant. Like the cost of a carrier isn't that significant. It's like 2 missions. If you can get on and do 2 missions a week, you can pay for your cost of your carrier, not a problem. But if what they're adding, what they would add from what I would assume would be very similar to what we have in a concourse, but maybe slightly different named. Hopefully we will get a exobios place.
The genomics thing, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And hopefully we'll get that, and then that will probably be one of the additional costs that we pay for them, because we don't have something like that within the fleet carrier at the moment. You have universal cartographics that you can pay for, but I think that Vista Genomics is different enough that it would be like a separate module that you would have to pay for. And if you don't have it, the space where it is will just be shuttered away.
So would you want a bartender that you could then use a materials trader for other players?
Well, you have secure trading. Secure trading is one of the things that you can have, where you can trade on the black market within your
but
fleet carrier. I don't have it, but it would be like an equivalent of that. I would have thought that it would just be as an extension.
Well, the bartender is, if you like, the materials trader, isn't he?
Well, he's more like the black market.
Well, I'm going to have to pull an end to this because I have just seen the time.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah. Like I said, we've had an awful lot to talk about this week, and we'll probably need to pick up on this next week. So, just quickly, just allow me to say this while we're running through our documents. We have our quick, mostly clueless section, which Shan has suggested, which is the art of combat is knowing your tipping point, where if you are incurring damage faster than you can inflict it, that's when you get out. So many players die because they've not learnt how to tell where their tipping point is. So never be afraid to jump out before that tipping point until you know instinctively when you've reached it. Right, Shan, just quickly, and then I'm going to have to do the shout-outs.
I was going to say, in the more to come, we hope you're enjoying 4-player multi-crew and Megaship. Did we talk about 4-player multi-crew earlier on?
Because we don't have time right now.
We didn't. That's something that actually is something that I have yet to try out. So I don't know if they've made any changes to in-ship multi-crew apart from adding the new seat, which I'm not complaining about. It's just, Anyway, so we'll put that down for a catch-up on next week. So these are the quick shout-outs for everybody who's helped out. We have the Dockers Christmas charity special, which you can find out more details at justgiving.com team beyond Dockers. We have our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio, which broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30 GMT. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We'll also give shout-outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts, which is Alagrab AM, Black Sky Legion, the Canon podcast for the Spanish speakers, there's EliteCast, the Fatherhood podcast, Flight Assist, who had they had someone special on this week, didn't you?
We had Charlie Hall from Polygon Magazine.
Yes. An excellent listen. I heartily recommend it. They have got the Guard Frequency, who do other space sims as well. I'd just like to apologise also to the Loose Screws and Chiggins in particular, because basically he's not elite at CQC yet, although he is still working at it. I was wrongly informed. New Worlds, Zero Prep with Kai, Ed and Suv are talking about stuff, Squeaking Fuel and System Chat. And for those that want a literary discussion about sci-fi and fantasy books, please subscribe to the Data Slate podcast as created by Alan Stroud. Now, following this, we do have the latest Galnet News Digest as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. And We'd also like to thank all those who have chipped in the Twitch chat, we haven't had any in-game commanders, and special thanks also to Commander Tokuso for creating the music at the introduction of the show. Now, has anybody quickly got any other business before I sign out? Nope. Okay, well, that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, or tweet us at Lave Radio. You can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio, and we also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to chat, which you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Now, do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 GMT and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So, thanks to Mac, thanks to Psychit, and thanks, of course, to Shan. And special thanks goes to today's tech specialist, Commander Ventura. But until next time, commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted into them. You need a safe word.
Space can be done. I'm going to see the galaxy.
Damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Lave Radio Muppet of the Week.
Hello.
I need a new computer.
Your family's Egyptian now?
Galnet News Digest, 2nd of November 3307. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news, Thargoids resilient in face of onslaught.
Osmium fee for Torval mining laser.
Visit Colonia.
Pumpkin Gate. Despite substantial anti-Xeno activities over the weekend in the 8 systems that were attacked on Thursday, all 8 of the attacked systems continue to report a massive Thargoid presence. The attacked systems are all in the Witchhead Nebula and the Pleiades, but the number of Thargoids in the Coalsack Nebula and in the California Nebula has also sharply increased, with plenty of non-human signal sources. The lack of apparent progress raises the prospect that, in the absence of Aegis, who've always been pretty useless anyway, Salvation might come to the rescue again, as he did with Cornsar, using his mystery weapon to wipe out the Thargoid presence in at least some of the affected systems. He's already positioned his megaship in the Merope system. There appear to be 2 different sorts of Thargoid invasion, with 4 of the systems affected by persistent non-human signal sources such as were found in Cornsar, and the other 4 with non-persistent NHSSs. This may affect Galnet News Digest, 2nd of November 3307. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news, Thargoids resilient in face of onslaught.
Osmium fee for Torval mining laser.
Visit Colonia.
Pumpkin Gate. Despite substantial anti-Xeno activities over the weekend in the 8 systems that were attacked on Thursday, all 8 of the attacked systems continue to report a massive Thargoid presence. The attacked systems are all in the Witchhead Nebula and the Pleiades, but the number of Thargoids in the Coalsack Nebula and in the California Nebula has also sharply increased, with plenty of non-human signal sources. The lack of apparent progress raises the prospect that, in the absence of Aegis, who've always been pretty useless anyway, Salvation might come to the rescue again, as he did with Cornsar, using his mystery weapon to wipe out the Thargoid presence in at least some of the affected systems. He's already positioned his megaship in the Merope system. There appear to be 2 different sorts of Thargoid invasion, with 4 of the systems affected by persistent non-human signal sources such as were found in Cornsar, and the other 4 with non-persistent NHSSs. This may affect Salvation's choice of target, as he has previously favoured the persistent sort. If so, he's likely to choose one, or perhaps more than one, of Pleiades Sector PD-S B4-0, Evangelos, Honoros or Shenve for his next experiment. And who knows what effect that might have on an already rather displeased Thargoid fleet.
Torval Mining has made its exclusive mining laser, the one with the long range and the fully engineered thingies, available for purchase from 3 megaships: the Pride of Bitterwood in EGM 559, the Champion of Commerce in Laguz, and the House Ascendant in 21 Eridani. They're not available for credits. In addition to arsenic, rhenium and phosphorus, you'll also need to bring along 16 tons of osmium for each laser you want to buy, which rather implies you already have a mining ship.
In other news, the Alliance and Marlinists are working together to arrange transport for Marlinist refugees who've ended up stranded in Alliance systems to the democratic Marlinist colonies.
The standoff between Orion University and the Scrivener's clan continues, with the university blocking the Dredger's hyperdrives and the clan refusing to allow the university enforcers to board. Civil rights group Advocacy has said the Scrivener's clan should be protected under the laws that protect the inhabitants of closed communities such as generation ships, a position rejected by the university.
And 2 star systems have been renamed. Dr. K's Heart and Dr. K's Soul will remain as permanent memorials to one of the galactic pioneers.
With 1/3 of the Colonia Bridge complete, the Visit Colonia campaign is encouraging sightseers to flock into the region, bringing their hard-earned credits with them. Billed as just like the bubble but smaller and with less to do, Colonia was formed around the hub of the initially damaged Jacques Station, a mobile station that attempted to jump across the galaxy but ended up getting stuck halfway. A group of enthusiastic commanders did some long-distance trucking and patched the station up nicely, and then decided not to go back home, living instead out of this truck stop 22,000 light-years from civilization. At the time, it was the only starport anywhere outside the bubble, so it was a bit of an oddity. There really wasn't anything to do except explore a bit and hold town council meetings, so the inhabitants got to know each other extremely well. Over time, more folk started moving out to Colonia and the system developed suburbs. Except some of the folk who moved out later decided to move back to the bubble or retired. So some of those suburbs are pretty quiet now, a bit like ghost towns. Even so, there are now some wonderful facilities out in Colonia, and the locals are rightly proud. There's a smart new fleet carrier factory, and there are not 1, not 2, not 3, but 8 engineers, 7 of whom don't have a dungeon full of reanimated corpses. Coupled with enough densely packed stars for their light to flay the skin from your bones, even through a protective screen, Colonia really is somewhere to see. Once. Depending on your boredom threshold, possibly twice. And very soon, once the remaining 2/3 of the Colonia Bridge is built, it'll be even easier to turn around and head right back to the bubble.
A prominent member of the Imperial Senate has withdrawn his objection to the sale of vegetable-inspired headgear after it was revealed they were not, as had been believed, actual pumpkins, but were fully functional headgear suitable not only for looking scarily stylish, but for also maintaining a breathable atmosphere in a variety of situations, including on airless worlds, where breathing might prove difficult, were one to simply wear a crudely hollowed-out squash on one's head. The difficulty apparently arose because the skill of the designers was such that it was not immediately obvious from the front of the headgear that it really was correctly fitted for life support. It's only when you look round the back that the air supply lines, CO2 scrubbers, radio communications and jump assist umbilical and other necessary accoutrements of an authentic piece of space hardware becomes apparent. So, it turns out that the pumpkin is a proper helmet after all, as is the senator who didn't do his research before denouncing it. But where will it all end? The reports that Manticore is working on a stealth variant of the Dominator for release before the end of the year that will look exactly like a pine tree fitted with baubles. And Supratech is reported to be working on a version of the Artemis suit with improved jump capability that comes with an Easter bunny helmet decked out with whiskers and long floppy ears for release in April. But before either of these, Remlock is creating a Thanksgiving-themed Maverick suit that looks exactly like a plucked turkey, and you'll never guess where the commander's head pokes out.
And that's this week's Galnet News.
Galnet News. We wear the pumpkin so you don't have to.
Store alert!